since the World Cup is starting soon, I've seen so many predictions. So many people calling for, big underdogs in the World Cup. But there's always one team that I feel like they always forget to mention. It always pisses me off because it feels like just yesterday they were like genuinely one of the best teams in the world and they were just never talked about. Right? So, this is the South American World Cup qualifiers final table. And one thing you'll notice that Colombia over here, oops, they're pretty good, right? 28 points. But like Brazil got the same 20 points. Uruguay got the same 28 points. That like what's the point, right? They're only on par with Brazil and Uruguay, two teams that really have not been that good the past 1-2 years. This is the table after 10 games, and you'll see right here. I'm pretty sure this is after the first two games after the Copa America. Colombia right there with Argentina, right? And Argentina actually started off their qualifying campaign pretty well, right? So it's kind of weird how they really did trail off right at the end of the year. But hey, you know what? It's whatever, right? It's the past now. We're living in a new world, right? And to live in that new world, you gotta be able to look at the past as well and be able to recognize, okay, well, actually, this team is pretty good, right? And I do think that people are not talking about it enough to the point where I would say that Colombia are, I don't want to say dark horse because they're too good to be dark horses, right? You don't go toe to toe with Argentina in a Copa America final by just being a dark horse. You go there by being a genuine like beast of a team, right? I wouldn't say, I don't know about contenders, but I think they're worth talking about, and I'm going to talk about them today, right? So, what on earth do Colombia do? Well, that's a great question, and for that, I think you got to look at one man, and really, you can only really look at this team. Well, no, actually, there's two players in this team that really do like make the entire team just flow around them all the time, and that's Luis Diaz, right? You know him from Bayern, right? He's got like a gazillion goal contributions this season. You know, one of the best, probably the second best winger, third best winger in Europe right now, fourth, top five wingers in Europe right now. Um, yeah, he's been just spectacular this past year. And really does carry his weight as well with the Colombian national team. And a name that, if you guys have been following the Colombian national team for a while, you might actually be really surprised to hear. Where is he? God damn it, I lost him. Where is he? There it is. James Rodriguez, right? You know him from Real Madrid, Bayern. He also played at Porto. He played at Everton. He's right now at Minnesota United. He's kind of been everywhere and also nowhere for the past 4 years. But in spite of that, for the Colombian national team, he has been consistent and he is their captain. And he has played, I want to say, like fourth most minutes under Nestor Lorenzo, who is the current manager of the Colombian national team, right? And yeah, so to understand the team, you've got to really be able to understand these two guys. Mainly because of simply how good they are, right? These are the stats for the qualifying campaign for South American teams, right? And you look, right, top goal scorer, Messi with 8, obviously, but Luis Diaz right there with 7, and top assists, James Rodriguez ahead by quite a bit. I don't know, people. Max Araujo from Sporting, I know him. Soteldo, I have no idea who he is. Right, so like goals and assists, yeah, Messi is first, right? And you would expect Messi to be first because Argentina finished first. Messi is arguably still the best player in the world. But right behind them, James Rodriguez and Luis Diaz with only one less than Messi, right? So that's pretty crazy in itself, right? But then you look at the playmaking numbers alone, right? Big chances created. Messi over twice as many as Messi, and chances created overall twice as many as his nearest competitor. That's I don't put this like that's insane, right? That's absolutely insane, and the fact I've heard so many people talk about the Colombian national team and talk about James Rodriguez perhaps going like as a Neymar role, as in the Brazil team, but that's completely disrespectful to the Colombian national team because he is their Messi, actually. That he's obviously not as good as Messi, but he is basically their Messi, right? Both in the literal sense, as in like he carries the team, but also like in the squad playing sense as well. So the squad, what's the squad gonna look like? Let's go back to front, right? In goal, it's gonna be Camilo Vargas. I've seen people talk about taking David Ospina, right? And he's a good goalkeeper. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, he played at Napoli, he played at Arsenal, but he hasn't been the starting the goalkeeper for the Colombian national team in quite a while, right? So I would be shocked if Vargas, who did get called up for the World Cup, didn't start, right? Right back, it's gotta be Daniel Munoz from Crystal Palace, right? Earlier today, a few hours ago, as in like 7 hours ago, five, he became a European champion, right? Conference League, but still European champion. He's an amazing player. And he does actually fit this team really well for something I'll get onto in a second, once I'm laying out the tactics and stuff. Center backs, Lucimi, I want to say his name, Lucimi, I don't know, and Davison Sanchez. These two have played a lot. Lucimi is Lucimi. I have no idea. John, he's played a lot. I think he has the second most minutes under the manager, only behind Luis Diaz. So there's no way he doesn't start. And Davison Sanchez is coming off the back of, if I'm not wrong, a really good campaign with Galatasaray. So yeah, I think this is pretty easy to expect. And left back, Mojica is most likely going to be the player who plays. Again, he's played a lot of minutes under the manager, and um, as well as that, like there's not that many options at left back for Colombia, quite frankly. So yeah, he's gonna go in there. Now the double pivot. This is one of my favorite parts because this I think a lot of people, especially like English fans, right? Maybe Spanish fans as well, are gonna look at a midfield pairing of Lerma, Jefferson Lerma, and Richard Rios, and go, oh, it's nobody, right? There's just you know, it's Jefferson Lerma and Richard Rios, but these two guys are amazing, right? Richard Rios, I've only watched him a handful of times, but I can confidently tell you he is like an incredible midfielder. And it's got to be that every other game that he plays, he's terrible. Because if he played every game, like how I watched him play when he was at Palmeiras, that watched a couple games with him on Benfica, with the Colombian national team as well, he's amazing, right? So it's yeah, it just he just impresses me every single time. His running ability, he's really composed as well, right? So yeah, expect to see him shine at the World Cup. Quite frankly, his first World Cup, obviously, since Colombia didn't qualify for the last one. Right wing, John Arias is probably going to be the starter. I'm gonna get into the nuance of this position in a second, because it's not quite a right wing position per se. So yeah, I'm gonna get into that. And then center forward, I think I have in my notes that Luis Suarez from Sporting would be the starter, but the more likely scenario is that it's gonna be John Cordova. He's playing at um, Krasnodar, a Russian team, right? but he's coming off the back of a pretty good campaign, right? It's 17 goals, 6 assists in 28 games. I'm pretty sure he hasn't played for quite a bit of it. I assume he had some kind of injury. Um, but yeah, that's a pretty good campaign. And obviously, Luis Suarez, 38 goals, 9 assists in 53 games, is ludicrous. The people are gonna say, "Oh, it's a Portuguese league," Darwin Nunez, Victor Gyökeres. What I don't care. That's still an insane figure. But the manager has constantly shown John Cordova preference over when he was playing in Aston Villa. John Duran, who's really doing really well. John Cordova kept playing over him, and that now that he moved to wherever the hell he is now, he's nowhere near the national team. Obviously, he didn't even get called up. But yeah, I think it's gonna be John Cordova quite comfortably. And yeah, so first of all, there's nuance to this formation because yes, the starting lineups are gonna say this. First game of the World Cup, gonna look at the team sheet in your stream or TV or totally legal way of watching the game, and you're gonna see this, right? But it's not this. Quite frankly, it's not this because John Arias is not gonna play on the right. It's gonna be James Rodriguez playing on the right, not nominally, right? He's actually gonna be playing through the center, but nominally he's going to be playing to the right, and it's actually going to be more of a 4-3-3, like this, right? John Arias, quite an adaptable player, honestly. It's a shame he didn't do well at Wolves, but he's going to play in a more of a midfield three. And what you're most likely going to see out of possession a lot of the time is something like this, right? And this goes into their philosophy of play, right? Because Colombia, they're not the most technical team, right? Jefferson Lerma, Richard Rios as the midfield pairing, they're they're mainly there to just fucking go ham out of possession, right? Just go press, take the ball off the other team, right? And that's what James Rodriguez is there for, because he's the creative heartbeat, because he's so good creatively. He had like 6 assists at the Copa America. It's insane. Um, he's the beating heart of the attack, really the link between defense and attack of the team, and sorry, and he's just there to distribute, and that's mainly because a lot of the philosophy of this Colombian national team is the heavy metal football. Quite frankly, it's get the ball, go attack quickly, and then when you lose the ball, counter press quickly, right? And so there, it's this team is honestly one of the best, most like um best drilled out of possession teams, national teams I've seen in a while. I remember they had right before the Club World Cup, they had a game against Argentina, and I feel like their entire game plan for that game was to keep the ball in the wide areas so their creative players couldn't access them. But Argentina made the mistake of like having very little width they could actually use, and they really took advantage of this, took an early lead, and then Enzo Fernandez got sent off, and it's a shame that Amala ended up scoring. That prevented Colombia from beating Argentina twice in a World Cup qualifier, I imagine, for the first time in a while. But yeah, okay, tangent aside. So this is most likely what you're going to see a lot of the time. Or you're going to see something more perhaps like this, right? And I think the best way of describing like the shape of it is that if you like looking at like symmetrical stuff or something like really positional stuff, it would most likely be kind of like a diamond in the midfield, right? James Rodriguez, John Arias, Jefferson Lerma, and Richard Rios, with Daniel Munoz then occupying the width on the right and Luis Diaz on the left. Now, this is really reductive of what they do. because it's not that one fullback will stay back from back three while the other one pushes on and becomes a winger. They're both pretty wondrous fullbacks, right? Mojica, you look at his heat maps, and there's it's you see like a bunch of play down the wing, and then a little in the box. I assume from defending because he plays at Majorca. And the team will for the most part move like into one side, and that for the most part they're gonna move down the right, right? Because James Rodriguez, obviously the heartbeat of the team, he prefers playing down the right since he's left-footed. He's able to face the pitch better, and he'll then like grab the ball and then just whip it, change it to Diaz, who will attack in space, which is what he does well. And you may be saying, "Oh, this is good in theory." It's backed up. It's backed up, right? These are accurate long balls per 90. James Rodriguez is fourth. Okay, yeah, Rodriguez ball and Leandro Paredes are higher, right? But look at the percentages, right? Pablo Diaz, it's 60.9. Rodrigo Paul, 70.1. James Rodriguez has 82.7. I don't think I found anyone in the top like 50 for this stat that has over 80% for this, or over 75 for that matter. I think I found a 76. But the point is, he's really, really good at these long balls. And Daniel Munoz is also really, really good at these long balls, right? Like, just close your eyes and imagine Daniel Munoz hitting those cross-field passes. You can imagine that because he does do that quite a lot at Crystal Palace, right? So they're gonna. So the main thing, like especially, I imagine a lot of people are gonna watch the Portugal game. The main thing you should watch out for is James Rodriguez and Daniel Munoz throwing those long balls into Luis Diaz's path. Yeah, and him like really enjoying all that space to attack. So yeah, now looking at my notes. Okay, so now I know this is all good in theory, right? But truth is, yes, the Colombian national team did have a dip after the Copa America, right? Before that, I remember that between the World Cup and the final of the Copa America, they did not lose a single game. Then after that, they've lost, I think, 7 between the Copa America final, counting the Copa America final, and the World Cup. So yes, it's gonna be important to see them kind of take that back to their level. But I think they can do it. I think they can absolutely do it, right? Now let's talk about the options in this team, right? Because I think there's a couple of places where you can switch around 1 or 2 players, but for the most part, this team is quite starting 11 heavy, right? The obviously in goal you have David Ospina, who can substitute just in case. But like even a fullback, right? Machado, I've heard he's good. But I don't know. I don't think he's very trusted by the manager. Any Colombians in the comments, feel free to correct me on that. And then Santiago Arias, who is just a player that I watch. He makes me feel nothing. I feel like a psychopath whenever I watch him because like it doesn't make me feel anything, right? He's old. This is not very creative, right? He's whatever, really. So like Daniel Munoz and Mojica are gonna be basically their only options in the high level games, right? In the pivot, Lerman Rios. A year ago, I would have told you Castaño fits in there easily. He doesn't. He's weak. He's kind of weak on the ball, but he can do a job on the ball. And I think if you see him coming on or like starting purposefully, it's gonna be when Colombia need more control of the game with the ball. But out of possession, he's nowhere near the level of these 2 starters. John Arias is probably the weak link in the attack, right? You could pretty easily replace him with anyone who does like a similar job. One suggestion that I saw float around quite a bit is Jorge Carrascal from Flamengo. that he can also do that weird midfield thing, right, for the diamond, and play along this spot. He can also do the right wing thing, right? So he is quite an adaptable player. If John Arias isn't the mainstay of the team in the World Cup, it's probably going to be Carrascal replacing him. James Rodriguez, I know that I just said he's the heartbeat of the team. Quintero, Juanfer Quintero from River, does quite a similar job to what he does. He does it quite well as well. But Quintero, this is a problem that I know a lot because I watch him a lot in River. The problem is he plays at a weird tempo, right? And it's really hard to explain. But like, imagine. No, I'm not gonna get into it actually. If you want me to explain it, I'll explain it. But I'm not gonna explain it because it's complicated and it's useless. But yeah, James Rodriguez is gonna play 99% of the minutes for Colombia since he is their captain. He is their set piece taker. He's their penalty taker. He's their creative, force field basically. Luis Diaz unreplaceable, I think. Can pass, can deputize to the left, but Luis Diaz himself is unreplaceable. And then John Cordova. Now here is the thing, because I have seen so many people talk about this Colombian national team. So many people, nobody can ever agree who's starting, whether it's John Cordova, whether it's Luis Suarez, or whether it's Hernandez from Real Betis. I don't see the argument for Hernandez, quite honestly, right? He's had a worse season than these two. He doesn't really offer anything physically, right? I don't get it. He's there, I think, to come on 80th minute. You know, when you have two up top, then you've already subbed off your main striker, right? Like if John Cordova starts, then Hernandez is only gonna come on when he's alongside Luis Suarez, I think. Now, between these two, I think it's gonna be a what you need in a game by game basis to figure out which one of these two is going to be playing most. Right, I think John Cordova for a more like physical approach, Luis Suarez for a more quick attacking approach. Yeah, it depends. I think John Cordova is going to be starting most games though, because he's just more trusted by the manager. And then like 60th, 65th minute, Luis Suarez is going to come on. I think that's pretty safe to say. And yeah, that's all I got. Main takeaways from this video: Colombia is very good. The main player to watch out for, James Rodriguez. I think the main star for a lot of people is gonna be Luis Diaz. Breakout star, Richard Rios. Mark it right now in your calendars, in your notebooks, in your I don't know. Colombia is very good. Okay, watch the Colombia games if you can, because it's gonna be very, very fun football. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'm gonna be making a couple more videos like this, probably one for Argentina, one for Brazil. The Brazil one I already have prepared. I just have to record it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm losing my voice, and yeah, see you for more World Cup content soon.